You have had the luck of wandering your way into the Split Hiking Adventures demonstration video. I'm your host, David Martin. In this video, you are the proprietor of a small business called Tour Mont Blanc Family Adventures. Every year, you take thousands of hiking parties, families and adults and retired people through the Alps between France, Italy, and Switzerland. You measure the success of each hiking party by how satisfied they were, the higher the better, and how stressed they were, the lower the better. Let's see if we can improve our tour guide experience using Split. On the first day of your hiking itinerary, you have your hiking parties climb to Col du Baume, which is the pass that is the border between France and Switzerland. The climb is steep and challenging, and you've heard from some of your hiking parties, particularly the ones with children, that the climb is very difficult for a first day. You have the idea of offering these families with children an alternate route. On this route, they can take a ski lift for part of the climb. Your hope is that when you offer this alternate route, you'll increase satisfaction and lower stress. To test if my new hiking itinerary for families is a good idea, I've created a new split, the Latour cable car ride. I test if hikers prefer a day one with a cable car ride to replace part of the hike. This description helps me remember what the split was for later. When I look below, in the treatments, the on treatment is to present the cable car ride, and the off treatment is to go with the existing itinerary. Most split users will want to start out dark, so the default rule right now is off. Once I feel comfortable, I can whitelist a set of testers. So if I look underneath my whitelist, I've actually let a set of critics through. These are travel critics. I want them all to try that cable car ride to give me feedback on it. When they give me the thumbs up, I can change the default rule, or I can change the traffic allocation. For example, if I drop this to just 10%, only 10% of my hikers will be exposed to this split. Of those 10%, I can set up targeting rules. So here I've said, only hiking parties that have children should be given the split. And here it's 1090, but because we've already limited the traffic, it's safe to set it to 50-50, and then we get a nice control group for the test. You are doing science. Now let's check out what the results look like. The results from our split first show graphical indication of how many users got the on versus the off treatment. Remember that we addressed just 10% of the population for this feature. That's why, out of over 400,000 impressions, only 15,500 were on. To get a better look at what happened, we can switch to looking at the rule for the number of hiking parties that had children. Now we know that out of 30, almost 1,000 parties, 15,000-ish got the on treatment and 15,000-ish got the off treatment. Again, that's because we specified a 50-50 split for those hiking parties that had children. When we look at the key performance metrics below, we can see right away that stress went down and satisfaction went up. But the fact that these metrics are green and bold is something special in Split. When you slide over the question mark, you can see that this is a statistically significant change. In other words, Split saw enough hikers through each of the treatments to determine that this change in the metrics was caused by the feature. This type of analysis is special to Split. Now you're ready for a more interesting split. Elsewhere on the itinerary, you split hikers to a shorter day where they stayed at Chalet Valferret instead of Refugio Bonatti. But hikers that reached Refugio Bonatti have an easy hike for the last day, and you speculate that if you give them a more challenging hike, the blue line in this drawing, they'll be more satisfied, even if stress goes up a bit. But you can't offer that split to hikers that stayed at Chalet Valferret. So there's a dependency between splits. Can you handle this? Of course you can. Here's the Aosta Vista split. In this split, we're going to give the longer hike to the on treatment and the existing hike to the off treatment. We'll whitelist the critics as we did before, and this time we're going to leave traffic allocation at 100%. But here's the key to this split. Hikers that got the Chalet Valferret split earlier stopped earlier on the trail. If we give them this new hike, they're definitely going to be dissatisfied with the experience. So split allows us to check to see that they were not in that earlier split. That means hikers that hike to the original destination can be presented 50% of the time with this new treatment and 50% off. Let's take a look at how the split went. On the results tab, I'm going to switch to the metrics and look at our rule that they were not in the split called Chalet Val Ferret. Just as expected, about half got the on treatment and half the off treatment. This is a much bigger number of hiking parties than before, but still an extremely low number for Split's biggest customers. Now the metrics are different from the last split. It looks like stress went up by almost 50%. That's not good. We put this metric in red because we know going up is bad. But conversely, satisfaction also went up. So this was an interesting experiment. We learned that if we offer some of our hikers that longer hike, they'll report that it was difficult, but they'll also be more satisfied with their experience. Thanks for your attention during this short demonstration. I hope you learned a lot about Split. I covered many of the most interesting features, but not all of them. If you're interested in hearing more about the SDK, the REST APIs, multivariate treatments, or any number of other things, feel free to send me an email, david.martin@split.io. I'd be happy to answer your questions. I'd even be happy to answer your questions about the Tour Mont Blanc, which is awesome, by the way.